Welcome to Boys and Brunch, the show where we expose everything going down on the timeline. Today we're talking about Greenleaf final season premiere, Tekashi 6ix9ine and Nicki Minaj's #1 song Trollz, Beyonce's surprise release of Black Parade, and the new Netflix documentary Disclosure. I'm Jarrod D. King, and I'm joined by co-hosts Marcus Haynes and Brandon Harris Williams. Hello, guys. How you doing?
I'm good.
So
Making it.
Yeah. So Brandon, what's going on with you today? I see you're at a coffee shop. What are we working on?
Yes, I was over here getting some script work done or whatever, and just trying to be productive, trying to get out the house. You can't go in the shop, which is safe, so outside. Getting some fresh air, some vitamin D,
That's
all that
good.
stuff.
That's good. That's good. So I have to ask, are you working on like a script, a screenplay? What are we doing?
I am. I'm
Okay.
rewriting one that I've previously written. It just needed a lot of work, some polishing, so I'm working on that.
Okay. And I mean, we all have our drinks ready. I'm assuming, correct?
I don't have one today. I had ice coffee
No.
earlier, but I don't have an actual drink.
Do you at least have coffee?
I had it earlier. I don't have it right now.
Okay. You're gonna let that pass. You're gonna let that slide this week. Marcus, what's going on with you today? I know you said, did you mention you were doing some writing as well?
Well, not yet. I do plan on going and working on some writing a little bit later on today.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what are we drinking today?
Well, today I actually was on brand. I went and made a mimosa.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, see, today I've got a Bloody Mary.
Ooh.
So I will see. Like, I don't know about it yet. We'll see as the day goes. No?
They always look a little, I don't know.
A little suspect.
I don't know.
See, I've had a Bloody Mary before, but I think the person who made it was like not good because it tastes like I was just drinking tomato sauce. Like it was just tomato sauce. I swear it was.
Yeah, for some reason I feel like it's very easy to mess it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had bad ones before. It's not a good thing. So since our last episode was a little bit, let's say, echo, I mean, I guess that's appropriate because they call Twitter an echo chamber. So so yeah, it wasn't quite up to snuff with the audio, but I think we've got a good thing going this time. We did a bunch of testing, but I don't think people were able to really learn who we were because we were doing our introductions and we weren't able to get that correct. So I would like us to kind of reintroduce ourselves. Maybe we can start with you, Brandon. Who are you? What do you do? What makes you special?
I'm Brandon Harris Williams. I'm a Gemini, like long walks on the beach. No, I'm joking. No, I am though a Gemini. I am also a screenwriter. I love to cut up on Twitter. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I'm always like, who am I? I don't know. I talk shit. I don't know.
Who am I? Who am I?
That's all good. I mean, of course, we'll all learn as we go. Marcus, what about you?
Marcus Haynes, writer, author. I do some blogging, do some teaching, do some of a lot of different things. I do a lot of tweeting. I do a lot of that. But yeah, I just love, like fantasy spec fic type deal. Love talking shit on Twitter. Love talking about black shit, gay shit, and sometimes all of those at the same time.
Hello.
Okay. All right. Hey. So I'm Jarrod D. King again, and I am a fantasy author. I do search engine optimization as my day job, but I really love a lot of the nerdy stuff. But I really am into like a whole lot of the pop culture stuff. I may not talk as much on Twitter, but I'm reading everything. And that's why exactly. But that's why I created the show, because I feel like I can be a part of the conversation, and the conversation may be a little bit more nuanced than it is with 240 characters and people misunderstanding where you're coming from. And so yeah, I guess this is kind of my contribution.
Absolutely. I think this thing too is like tone and like verbal definitely helps like that nuance in that conversation a lot of times. I think a lot of times it gets confusing, or I think a lot of things get misconstrued, or you don't know what people are saying. Not to say some people aren't being, assholes or insensitive, but think a lot of times things get missed or lost.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to jump into our first topic, which is Greenleaf. We saw this final season premiere. I saw you guys tweeting about it, so I was like, okay, this is definitely going to be a thing. So I want to start with Jacob's storyline because I think that was, I don't know, for me, that was the most scandalous. I feel like I came into this season kind of rooting for Jacob a little bit. I feel like he kind of got his act together in the past seasons. And now, you know, his wife Carissa had been kind of cheating on him and kind of being really shady behind the scenes. But come to find out, he has his old mistress's phone number in his phone. So
I mean, but we already knew that Jacob was cheating on Carissa. Like we knew that almost from season 1. Like we knew that he was never really that faithful to her.
I guess my impression was that Jacob had kind of left that behind, especially after dealing with
Tasha.
Tasha Skanks, that's what it's called.
There you go.
But I didn't take. It was weird that Jacob still had her phone number or whatever, but I didn't take it as him doing something bad because I think he was trying to help the family because he was asking her, like, did you know anything that could help us out? But I completely get why she was upset. But it also was weird, too, because it's like, we haven't seen this woman in like 5 years, so I forgot who she was when he first got there.
You and me both.
Who is this woman?
I had to pause and Google. I was like, who is this?
Same. I literally Googled. I was like, I don't remember this woman. And then I just knew that baby was his. Then she had a little mixed baby. I was like, 4? I said, no, wait.
Now, y'all,
but my thing is, it's like, do you keep an ex's number in your phone? Even, I mean, like, especially if you cheated on your wife with that person, do you keep that? So I think I'm
Not
just
4 years
like,
later.
I'm like, he still got this woman's. So that's what took me back. That maybe it's just me. I don't know if anybody else out there.
But some people don't delete numbers at all, though.
Okay,
I'm not that person, but some people keep everybody's number no matter what. They're like, if I had the number one time, I'm keeping it, even if I don't use it. That's not me. I'm like, okay, I haven't hit this person up in like 5 months. Like, delete that off. Like, goodbye.
Cause see, my whole thing is like, if you're still having a number, if you're holding on to this number, you have an intention of using it for something. Like, you're not gonna keep all that space and all that energy up in your phone just for no reason.
Right. Okay, so I was gonna talk about Charity next, but I'm gonna leave her for last. We're gonna talk about AJ, who is the son of what? God, I keep forgetting these people's names. Grace's son. And this weird like look-alike that he has, who the police thought was the one that was stealing stuff from the pharmacy from like last season, which actually wasn't true, but you know, they found him and then I guess he was shot and killed. So I just like, what do you guys think about this whole, where is this storyline going? Because I really think there's a lot of mystery around it, and I don't really know what to make of it.
I have no clue. I know a lot of people are saying they feel like AJ isn't really her son, and maybe the other guy was. Because it's weird, because the other guy showed up to her at the gravesite in the season finale, but it's like, is that real? Is that a dream? Like,
yeah.
And we don't know now because he's dead. So I'm like, I have no clue where this is going at all.
I mean, to be fair, both of them are. So,
right.
But we don't know that because I don't know if he is or if he's not.
Is or not what? Is or is not what?
If AJ is dead as well, I don't know that.
Okay, that's true. He could still. I mean, it is a soap opera. He could still be alive, but
he might make it.
Right. The way they played it, I thought he was. I don't know where they're going. Like, I have a theory. Like, and it may just be me, making everything gay. Who knows? But I was convinced that the fake AJ, the one that came at the end of last season, that was the AJ that we know, that's his lover, and that he took the blame for him, so that they would, so that he would, get caught up in all of the foolishness or what have you.
Okay.
But even with saying that, I don't know where else that story could go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like for me, it seems like the AJ that we know, the guy that we know, he took the blame for the other guy. And I have no real idea why.
But he said he did it though. He said he actually did steal the stuff last season.
But I don't know if that's true.
Mm.
Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. But I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, so now let's get to our favorite person to hate, which is Miss Charity.
She's so annoying, like, and I get it because she feels left out from the family. They typically don't include her. She's the baby. Her opinion and thoughts typically don't count, don't matter. But it's also like she's so needy for attention, and she goes about it the wrong way every single time. It's like, girl.
Yeah, for sure. She's definitely she does way too much. I mean, even in that scene where they were at the board meeting or something, and she starts acting like preaching in the boardroom all hard, and I was like, oh, okay.
Like, want to hear preach.
Stupid.
Don't want to hear that. Don't want to hear that.
Oh my gosh! But
they're trying to gain a congregation. Here she now, ma'am. Go sit down. We barely want to hear her lead the choir.
I do think. Oh, you silly.
And I'm not saying she can't sing. I'm just these song choices. I'm like, what black church is this?
No, it's funny to me, like especially like now knowing that Charity is like the singer of the family, because I don't know. I saw a I don't know what you would call it, but it was like a video of them singing, of a couple of people from the cast singing "Going Up Yonder."
Yeah,
and singing it with the original singer. And you had Charity, you had Bishop, you had some regular singers like Corinne Hoffman. Yeah. And then here come Grace. And I'm like,
right, so like out of nowhere.
Listen, why is she not the singer?
But that's how it goes. I mean, but that actress though has done Broadway and stage before, so I guess Grace can't sing, but the actress can. So I mean,
right?
Hey,
interesting.
But I think the actress that plays Charity can sing. I just hate those song choices 9 out of 10 times.
So let me ask: is there like any redeeming Charity in this season? Do you think that the path that they're going down is going to lead to her being redeemed in the eyes of the family, or is she going to go down like this dark path where she's like, ends up dead or some crap? Which I hope is not the case, but
I have no clue because I know they're doing a spin-off, so I don't know who, but they haven't revealed details about who the spin-off is going to be about or what it's going to be about.
Oh,
so I have no clue.
I think they have. They said it's going to be Lady May.
Oh,
exactly.
Interesting.
Okay. I'll watch that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I love her character. I just I hope that it's gonna be interesting enough. I feel like they should bring back Oprah at least for a scene or something between them in this season. I don't know. Okay, no, Brandy, now why the face?
Did I make a face?
A little bit.
I mean, okay. She come on for a scene.
I mean, they had a really strong couple of scenes in that first season. So I'm like, we need a little bit more of that. Like she just she went to Paris or something and just disappeared.
Yeah. Oprah didn't feel like staying on that set. That's what y'all ain't getting. She was like, I'm sick of y'all. Oh, going back to what you asked about Charity. I think that at least based off the fact that they invited her to Bishop and Lady May's, wedding number 2, whatever. I think the family is kind of on the path that they're giving her. Now, are the people that watch going to forgive her? That's a whole nother question.
Right. I feel like
I also forgot they hadn't gotten remarried. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know why I assumed they had already got remarried like last year. I don't know why I forgot they hadn't yet.
They announced it at that party towards kind of going towards the end of the season. So I guess they just never had the chance to actually do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like it's going to be an interesting season. So I'm definitely going to keep watching and, definitely watch us on Twitter for our little commentary because we will have plenty. I want to talk about this song Trollz by Tekashi 6ix9ine and Nicki Minaj. There was a bit of a conversation that was brought up on Twitter about I don't know, I guess kind of giving this a pass, or kind of giving him a pass based on what he'd done in his past. Basically putting out a video. I won't go into details about what it is unless that's necessary. It wasn't too graphic from what I read, but it was still extremely extremely inappropriate and wrong. And I just want to know what you guys think about, like, you know, are we giving him a pass? I mean, seeing as though the song got a #1, I feel like a lot of people are.
I'm sorry. I have feelings.
Please express them.
Right?
Because as someone who, you know, when Nicki first went mainstream, was a huge fan, you know, I will admit, you know, knocking on the door of Standem, but I've seen sort of like her as an artist sort of like go downhill, I'm just gonna be honest. And I think that this continuous work with 6ix9ine is just another example of that, because isn't the exact term, because it's whoever 6ix9ine was with isn't like underage. It's another term for when a person is closer to the legal age or what have you that I can't think of right now. But still, it ain't right. And the fact that, you know, that Nicki stands, because that's who it is, the stands have pushed for this, you know, despite all the stuff that's continuously coming up about this person, despite all the stuff that continually came up about Doja Cat, it just really kind of goes to show a problem with, I think, with stands, to where they ignore, you know, all of the bad stuff that their quote unquote fave does, just to say like, oh, well, my fave has a #1, or my fave has sold all these albums. Like, what has your fave done? And then about that, you sitting up here uplifting, giving all this money, all this airplay, all this airtime to racists and sexual assaulters. Do you feel good about yourself? Did you get the house? Did you close it? Did you clog it any bigger? Like what?
Oh man, Brandon.
I haven't heard the song, but I also don't know anything else by him personally. I just was never even interested before all the controversy. But I do agree. I think it's her fans that have blown it up, and I think it's like, okay, well, she's attached, so I have to listen. And on the one hand, I get it if you do, you know, you love that person, not even a stan all the way, but just if like that's somebody you really go up for, or you're a big fan of, that makes sense to me. But at the same time, though, like you said, you have to consider all of the factors surrounding it. And if there is this person attached to it who is problematic for whatever that reason is, you have to decide, you know, I think you have to decide, am I okay with the listening in spite of that? And then you got to be firm in that. You can't be like, okay, I'm just listening for them when they're only on a verse or whatever. Like, the song is shared. So it's not like just her win or whatever, it's his as well.
Right.
And so you have to acknowledge you're complicit in that.
Exactly. And see, like, you know, if, like you said, if that's what you're okay with, then fine. But now you got to know that you got to stand in that. Like, if you saying that, okay, well, this person, you know, committing sexual assault crimes and like is okay with me, and now you got to deal with the fact that people are gonna look at you and say you okay with, you know, with folks who are, with assaulting people. Like, are you prepared to deal with those ramifications just because you want to support your faith?
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, one of the things that I wanted to ask was, like, you know, maybe you don't necessarily bang with the song or the artist, but you know, if you're out in the club, not that anybody would be out in the club during this time, but if they happen to,
but yeah,
some people, but not the smart ones, America.
Well,
stay at home.
But yeah, I mean, if they happen to play this song in the club and you're like mid-dance to a song that the DJ played before, and then this comes on, and then like, what are you gonna do? Stop dancing? And is that wrong? Or like, do you like, how would you react in that kind of a situation? I mean, do you just let it roll?
I probably would keep dancing because I don't even know what he sounds like. I wouldn't even know it was that song. I wouldn't even. I'm like, okay, this Nicki Minaj song is cute, and then I would find out after the fact that it's him. I'd be like, oh, well, I didn't dance now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what he sounds like. I don't.
No, I see that. Well, for me, one, I think that is true. I think that if I probably didn't know, it wouldn't even register. But if I did know, I probably would, like, you know, have some type of reaction, because I can remember I was at a convention, like a a Black Nerd convention, and they were having a party. And in the party, they played an R. Kelly song. Now I had been, vibing, whatever, the whole thing. I heard R. Kelly's voice, just immediately stopped all all the fun I was having. I was like,
Right.
So for me, just me, Marcus Haynes, I think I would feel some type of way. I was like, for what? I'd be like, I would probably have a reaction, and it would probably take me a minute to get back in the mood, because that would have just killed my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I mean, I think knowing what I know now, I probably would just take a second to be like, okay, they're playing a song. Let me go to the bar and do whatever.
Yeah. Right. Let me go to the bar. Let me go to the bathroom.
Right.
But I think it's very easy to be in the moment and to just be like, whatever, also, and to just like kind of let it go, because it feels like on some level, you not dancing to that song, whether you're listening to Tekashi in the club or whether R. Kelly's Step in the Name of Love comes on at a wedding or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to be like, I don't know. You just feel like nothing's going to change for me. Just not interacting. You know what I'm saying?
But I would. No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, please go.
No, I'm saying, but I would challenge that. Does dancing in the moment count as support if you're not like streaming it separately or still buying stuff? You know what I'm saying? Because like if you're not the actual DJ and you continue dancing along, does that mean you are supporting it?
I don't know, and I think that's a good question, because personally, I wouldn't necessarily see that as support, but I think some people would. Mm-hmm. I personally would see buying it or streaming it as the support. Yeah. But of course, if nobody takes a stand in the moment, I mean, if the DJ doesn't have enough people that are just not vibing with the song, then they're going to keep playing that song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, or the artist or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough question. And I think it's something that has to be individually processed.
That was what I was going to say. Like the whole idea of buying and streaming it, like that's direct support. Like you can see that. But if someone plays "Step in the Name of Love" and everybody is still dancing, then the DJ, just having known DJs, is going to recognize that as like, oh, well, this is something they can get the party going. So I'm gonna keep playing this. I'm gonna play something similar, by that artist or by another artist, or what have you. But if somebody hears that, they'll be like, hey. Don't do that no more.
Right? Or let people like, whoa. Like, okay, let me move on.
Exactly.
All right. So we move from one end of the spectrum with music, but I want to come back to the other end. So Beyonce. Yes. Now, I'm a stan of Beyonce, and I think I'm pretty safe in that stand.
Yeah, that is the one untouchable one.
Yes. Black Parade, she surprise dropped, I want to say, on Juneteenth last week.
Well, she always does.
Yeah, she's good for a surprise.
That's all she does now. The last, 7 years or whatever, that's all she does.
Yes. So I want to know what you guys think about the song. It's a song of Black empowerment, celebration. It makes nods to current issues, which makes you wonder how quickly it was written and recorded. And the lyrics, I feel, are so on point with various references to African culture and prosperity and the Black Lives Matter movement. So, Brandon, what did you think about the song?
Not me first, Lord. I only listened to it once. I didn't love it, so I haven't listened to it again.
Okay.
The beat was nice.
It's all good. You don't have to feel guilty about it.
I love the melody.
Right? I know you're not gonna sing that.
That's all. I kind of feel much the same.
Y'all are killing me here.
I mean, I love the message. I love the intention behind it. I love the idea of the lyrics and sort of like the idea of the song, but just as a track. Yeah.
It wasn't there for me all the way. Because I think sometimes you have to be careful with message songs. So that to me, it still feels like a song that I can at least groove to a bit. Like a Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, to me, feels more like a song, kind of. I know it's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she's done that before. Like, you know, you listen to a Formation or to Freedom or something like that. And like, I feel like those are, you know, songs you actually could like listen to or whatever. But I don't know, something about this one. I think you're right. Like it felt like a message song. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I'm also too, I'm very like on guard in this moment about anybody kind of doing things. I think because all these corporations, it feels very performative. And I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but I think I'm just very apprehensive in general about stuff during this time. Like yes, it's timely, but is it only timely? Is it only because of this moment?
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, I would say, as the resident Beehive representative, that yes, she's consistently done this before this time, but I'm not gonna argue because I think, you know, one of the lyrics in the song is, you know, these bees bite or something like that. So, but I'm gonna let Twitter handle y'all.
I enjoy her. That just is not.
It's.
I'm going to replay.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, you know, full disclosure, I'd listened to it once. I hadn't listened to it again until I want to say a couple days ago. But I think it's a very good song. I think she's got a good flow on it, and you know, reading through the lyrics, it's very well written.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that goes. I think it's probably going to tie into this this Disney Plus special that I think was just announced today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So was it officially announced or no?
I've been seeing just like the little snippets or whatever, but I have no idea what it is. So if y'all know a little bit more, maybe
we never know. I haven't seen the trailer, but I did see though that I think like Chloe and Halle released the trailer, but then they had to snatch it down real quick. I guess they weren't supposed to release it yet. But of course, you know, the internet's fast. I think that's how it's been circulating. But so I don't know. Yeah. I might knowing her though, she'll scrap a whole project, be like, y'all thought.
Right, like I've seen that it's probably a visual album or like a kind of like what she did with Lemonade, kind of like what she did with Lemonade. That's the sense that I'm getting, but it's going to be a lot more Afrocentric. So I don't know, it'll be interesting. I think it's a good time for that.
Yeah, people are speculating that it's the visual album to The Gift, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, okay.
Although that feels very late. But
right.
I'm like, I guess.
I mean, I would be happy with it, but like, I hope we get something new at this point because that's been out for a while. And
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it was what, last year? Like,
now I'm gonna hope that it's not, because I feel like that plays a lot into the whole like, is this just timely or like, are you taking advantage of the moment type thing? Because The Gift has been out for a while. It's like, why'd you decide to go back and do this? Like that seems.
I think too. I don't know, but I'm just thinking because it'll be on Disney Plus. I know they're very specific. It seems like what they allow, so maybe that's what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is because it's them.
Okay.
Well, that's a good segue into the next topic because we're talking about Disney Plus. We're talking about streaming services, and from streaming services,
come on, segue.
You include Netflix. And on Netflix, we have the new documentary Disclosure, which is all about trans representation in the media. Yeah, so what stood out for you in this film?
I think for me, it was eye-opening because there's so many things you don't consider when you're a part of that community. It's like, which is, I guess, my privilege, obviously, but it's like you don't even realize how damaging or how disparaging those types of things can be. And not saying that of course, we've all seen things, but it's not saying that I have negative view of trans people. I think it's just that, and you don't even realize all the things that you are, again, ingesting, or how those things can maybe impact or influence your thinking of how, you know, trans characters can be made out to be a negative person, or there's typically the big reveal that, you know, she's a man. I'm not saying that she is, you know, that's how a lot of shows have framed it, you know, in the documentary they were saying. And it's that almost using their identity or their bodies for a plot point instead of them being like fully realized people and characters.
For me personally, it really kind of like underlined that idea of how powerful media can be, you know, as a step towards really understanding people and their experiences. I believe it was the Jen Richards that was saying. Like, so what they see is just these, you know, these cis men putting on a dress, putting on a wig, and then like taking it off. Then in their mind, it sort of becomes like, oh, well, this isn't real. Like anyone who says that they're with a trans person, they know a trans person, oh, they're just gay. Or they're just talking about a dude in a dress, basically. So it sort of creates that stereotype and it creates that sort of violence that then, you know, leads to real world violence. So that was really empowering for me to see, because I think, well, really for any of us as people, you know, who create media, who do, you know, different sort of stories and media platforms, what have you, like that's kind of almost a call to arms for some of it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you know, I think what really stood out for me was how they had this whole conversation about race and how that was, and it showed how tightly linked it was to how racism and transphobia in the media it's been so closely linked. The whole way that the Black community, the larger Black community, views LGBTQ, and the whole emasculation of men argument. I think it kind of originates here, right? And I thought that it was good that they acknowledged the argument about the emasculation of Black men through racism, through you know, lynching, and you know, the whole everything that people would do. But then also how that gets confused with transness or homosexuality. I thought that was a really interesting. I thought that was a really interesting point. I would like to ask you guys, because I know we are all storytellers on this call. Would this documentary maybe impact the way that you tell stories moving forward?
I kind of gave me more of a platform to stand on, more of a concrete idea about how media sort of affects like real world interactions and reactions to people. So in that aspect, it kind of made me just like, yeah, you know, this stuff is important. Like it's important to, you know, to try to represent people fully, what have you. But it also made me sit back and have to kind of evaluate my own writing because to ask yourself, you know, okay, well, are you contributing to this in any way? Like look back at what you created. Do you feel are you contributing to this? Is there a space where you can, if you aren't, is there a space where you can maybe contribute to the solution? Like, is there any way where you could, you know, try to create a more, a more inclusive, I guess that would be the way I can frame this, a more inclusive space to where you are not demonizing trans people, or at the very least, not demonizing sort of like gender variance in general, to make that into a sort of a welcoming space for people to understand more about sort of gender variance, gender fluidity, whatever have you. So for me, it did kind of make me kind of sit back and think for a minute as far as like what it is that I was doing with my own writing.
I think for me, I definitely am now more aware and more conscious to be, like he's saying, too, as inclusive. But it is still, I got to be careful to not do it again for a plot point. And not saying that I would do those type of reveals or twists, but to make sure those organic to the story. And also, though, I think, at least for me personally, I don't know anyone, at least to my knowledge, in real life who is. So I feel like I should be missing some maybe nuances or something like that. So I still would want to learn a bit more so that I'm not, because you know, sometimes when you feel people including things like, okay, we check out this diversity box, check out this box, we have one of these, one of the type of person, one of that type of character, whatever. So I wouldn't want to do that. I would still want it to be something that fits. But absolutely though, with my eyes, that to me, at least to be more inclusive where I can be.
Right. I think that that's something that has been talked about to death on book Twitter. You know, where I'm kind of, I kind of have my foot in that side of Twitter. You know, there are a lot of well-meaning authors out there who try to include other people, but maybe they don't necessarily get it all the way right because they haven't necessarily done the research that it takes in order to fully flesh out a character. Would you say, as writers, that if you can't do the research, or if you can't really get deep into the culture of a certain character, would that character just kind of be how you see your other friends or anything like that. I mean, would that be appropriate?
I think it is if you humanize them, but I think you have to be careful to not maybe miss nuances that might be there. But if you don't know that they're missing, then you would miss them, obviously.
Mm.
I think that's why it's important maybe to have other readers or collaborators in a way that you can.
I'm trying to make sure I'm 100% getting the question.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like, if a white author decides to write a black character and that black character, you could pretty much put, white skin on and it would be the same thing. Would that be appropriate? I mean, because we know that there are different types of people within cultures, so that, right. I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Okay. I think that when you trying to represent people, like that are outside of your lived experience, it's important to kind of like what Brandon was saying, kind of get input at the very least from people who that is their lived experience, because without the nuances, without the little what people call the cultural beats, that kind of doesn't really do a lot. I think as far as the representation that people are actually looking for, I think about it like this. Like when I wrote my second book, I had a reader come up to me, like shake my hand, and said like, "Oh my God, thank you." And I was like, "What do you thank? You're welcome. What am I getting thankful?" And she was explaining that, whenever I read about Black women in these type of stories, in these fantasy stories, they are out and about, or they always talk about that when they go to sleep, they just put their head on the pillow and go straight to sleep. And it was like, that's not what happens. And in the story, she was like, I was so glad to hear you talking about how before this character went to sleep, she was in the bathroom, she was twisting up her hair, she wrapped up her head, and then she lay down and went to sleep. It's like those type of small things, those type of like nuances and like cultural sort of aspects is what makes these characters feel authentic.
That actually reminds me of the scene, I think in season 1 of How to Get Away with Murder, where Annalise is taking everything off and breaking it down for bed, and and it was just so special because it's like, you don't ever see that, but that's real.
I think that, when we're talking about, particularly when we're talking about like we're trans characters, I think something that I think it was Jen Richards that was saying on the documentary, just sort of saying like, there's a difference between a person who's playing a trans character who then has to kind of like put all of their effort into like showing you, or like, I guess, the physicality of being that they're trans. And but there's a difference between that and someone who is trans, who that comes naturally to, who now they can start putting some of that like acting energy into, like the other aspects of their personality. So it is important, like even and then there are nuances, like, like there are nuances to people's experiences that, oftentimes going to look, I'm not trans, so I can't speak to what those nuances are. But I think that's the point, like we're not going to know it until you open up, until you take the opportunity to kind of to talk to people from this group, to talk to trans people, and to get them, paying them, to kind of to help you to get and create the world that you want to create.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm hearing all that, and I would like to close this out. I mean, we're at the end of Pride Month here, so I think it's important to at least, GLAAD has a whole list of tips for allies of transgender people. So I want to read through maybe like 5 of these. And you can go and find out the whole list for yourself at glaad.org/transgender/allies. And, I think it's, it's really up to us here to really, kind of support the rest of us in our community. So a couple of the things here are, you can't tell if someone is transgender just by looking. Don't make assumptions about transgender person's sexual orientation. It's very different from, what does it say? Gender identity. If you don't know what pronouns to use, listen first. Don't ask transgender person what their real name is. Understand the differences between coming out as lesbian, gay, or bisexual and coming out as transgender. They have a whole paragraph about that. They have a lot more here. I'm trying to see what else. Avoid backhanded compliments and helpful tips, such as, you look just like a real woman, or you're so brave, or stuff like that. So this is a really good comprehensive list of some tips to follow to be an ally to trans people. I don't know. I just thought that was important to kind of end off with, especially this Pride Month. So
yeah.
All right. So any last words from my co-hosts here? Anything we missed?
I don't think so.
All right.
You
look like something's on your mind, Marcus.
I'm trying to think if there's anything like in particular. Watch Disclosure, share with your friends, support trans people, Black Trans Lives Matter.
There you go. Period. That's on period. I can't even say that right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so if you enjoyed our conversation and want to hear more, it's absolutely necessary that you let us know, whether that is with a like and a retweet on Twitter, or a like and a subscribe on YouTube when I put this up. Please let us know, comment, show some love, because that's the fuel for getting us to continue to do this. And so now I'm going to raise a glass. I feel like I'm the only one who's been drinking all day, by the way.
Look, you are not.
Okay, all right. I see. So until next time, be careful what you say, because the boys will brunch. Take care, everyone.